Now that we have finished configuring our tour, let's collect some data by doing a tour run. This is the welcome window in Manual Logger. If I click on Manage Tour Runs, that will take me to the window where I can select the tour for which I want to collect some data. Here on the bottom pane, I can see that several tour runs have already been performed. This tour was configured for hourly runs or hourly collection of data. The last one was performed at 6:53. By selecting the tour and clicking on New Tour Run, I can select the next collection time, which in this case I'm going to set to 7:53. I click OK, and I am immediately taken to the data entry form. In here there are a couple of different ways in which I can enter data. I can enter data using this center pane and the data entry form, or I can also go to the data entry sheet that will allow me to enter data for all of the tags at the same time. There are several items that are being displayed in this data sheet. I like the data entry form, so I'm going to enter data in here one tag at a time. I'm going to enter the value of 45 for the first tag and a comment saying that this is my first value. Now, there are a couple of things that we can observe as a consequence of entering the value 45. The first one is that the next tag was checked here as not being due now. If you remember, we had configured this tag for data collection only when the first tag, PyML float 10, was above 50. In this case, because it's 45, we can see that the next tag now is not due. And if we navigate now by using the navigation toolbar at the bottom of the data entry form, moving on to the next tag, we will see here an X mark showing that this tag is not due for data collection. This is not going to stop me from entering data if I so desire. I will go ahead and leave this tag empty and move on to the next one. For the value of this tag, I'm going to enter 2 and I'm going to move on to the next one. Now I see the windows that show me that a limit was violated due to the limits that I enter under the data validation option for this tag. In this case, I entered a limit of low, which was 5, and low, which was 10. If I acknowledge the window, then I am reminded that I need to call the control room for this value because I have exceeded the limit of 5. After I acknowledge the window and the message, I am now prompted to enter a comment which is required for this tag when limits are violated. So I'm going to enter my comment and I can see here the message that the limits were violated. I will now to the next tag. For this tag, I'm going to enter the value of 45 also, move on to the next one. And if you remember, for unit number 2, we had configured a conditional data entry that the first tag, PyML float 10, had to be greater than 90 before we could enter data in unit 2. As a consequence of that, and because we entered 45 for PyML float 10, now unit number 2 and its entire group is showing that it's not due for data collection, and this is a consequence of the conditional data entry requirement which we set. If we would have entered 90 or 95 rather as a value for the first tag, then unit number 2 and all of its tags would have been available for data collection. Now the fact that they are checked and that they show they are not due for data collection is not going to stop me from entering data if I so desire. This is a reminder that the data is not required. So I can now save my data collection and exit.